Okay, so I have tried to do this on every social platform, and you guys know that I am awful at figuring out how all that works. So I'm going to do a quick video. This is going to be very, very short and sweet, so it will hopefully fit on social media. I will be making more videos about certain aspects of this, but this is the overall of last Tuesday while I'm not crying and a blubbering mess. So, as most of you know, the guy that hit us took a plea deal. He pled guilty in that plea. The whole plea deal thing went down, and then they set a sentencing date. It was open sentencing. They set sentencing date for February 6th, which was last Tuesday. From my understanding going in, it was going to be us read our victim impact statements. The judge was going to sentence him. We had to do like a packet before that they put together, I guess, from all different kinds of aspects to tell the judge what I guess their idea of the sentence should be. It's done by I don't know if it's an outside facility. They're probably government people, but they compile interviews from his family and friends and him and us and all the things. So that was turned in already. He had already pled guilty to the plea. You know, he had already taken the plea deal. So this was, again, supposed to just be for sentencing. That was our understanding. So let me run through really quickly for those of you that have asked me several times. His first charge that he picked up was in 2021 for theft of property. He was working at Amazon, stole from Amazon. They dropped that down to a misdemeanor with 11 months and 29 days. Then in 2021, about 9 months before he hit us, 8 months before he hit us, allegedly there was an altercation. A gun was allegedly pulled, and then he ran from police. We did watch that body cam footage and that dash cam footage in court, and it was a lot to watch. So very populated neighborhood, and he was flying, and I don't know, it was a lot. It was very, very hard to watch. Wrecked the car, got out, fled on foot. End of story. They charged him in that case with aggravated assault, evading arrest, possession of a firearm during dangerous crime, possession of marijuana for resale, driving wrong way on a one-way street, and there's several others that got cut off of this piece of paper. What the plea deal entailed was that he pled guilty to just the evading arrest. So on that count, on evading arrest on that case, the judge sentenced him to 4 years probation. On our case, which he was out on bail on each of these when he picked up the next one. In our case, he was charged with vehicular assault with serious bodily injury, driving wrong way on one-way street, driving under the influence, reckless aggravated assault with bodily injury, reckless aggravated assault with a weapon, possession of drug paraphernalia, seatbelt violation, open container violation, possession of firearm while under the influence, possession of firearm during dangerous crime, possession of marijuana for resale. Out of those, all were dropped, and he pled guilty to vehicular assault by intoxication, which carries the DUI, and reckless aggravated assault. So in those, and let me say this really quickly, disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. I give no, this is just my personal experience, okay? Take it all with a grain of salt. Again, not an attorney, not giving legal advice, not telling you what to do, not any of the above. Big disclaimer. Okay. In the state of Tennessee, while you're incarcerated, if you have good behavior, you get 2 for 1 days, which means for every 1 day you serve, you get to count 2 days off your sentence. Okay. Also in the state of Tennessee, prior to July of 2022, on the things he pled guilty to in the plea deal, he is eligible for parole after serving 30% of his time. So usually in one case, and these are all just things we have learned, in one case, if there's multiple charges, then those are served, unless there's special circumstances, those are served concurrently, which means if, you're charged with like 4 different things and one is 5 years and the rest are all 1 and 2 and 3 and whatever, you serve the 5 and the rest will be served at the same time, and you'll be done at 5. We had wanted and hoped for consecutive sentence in this. Since we had 2, they're 2 to 4 each. We had hoped that this would be a special circumstance and maybe the judge would do consecutive sentences, only because that would prolong the time for the first parole hearing, which is something we felt we needed some time to kind of close the chapter on all of this and move on, and not have to be before a parole board very quickly. The judge did order them, he ordered him to 3 years, and on both counts, and those will be served together, and then he is eligible for parole and gets to count 2 for 1. So on those, I've asked the DA, I've asked a couple of people, everybody calculates it differently. I don't really know, not going to pretend to know, but it looks like we will be going in front of the parole board again, or for the first time, in the next 3 to 6 months. He could be out in that time if the parole board allows that. But if the parole board does not let him out each time he is eligible for parole, then the most time he will serve, as long as he maintains good behavior, is 1.5 years. So, and like I said, the other one was 4 years probation, house arrest. So that's where we stand on that. That explains it a little better than I could the other night crying. A little background on why I was so upset. This was supposed to be sentencing. We were supposed to go in, have sentencing, read our victim impact statements. We did not do a civil case, so we did not get a chance to say anything then. And then he took the plea deal, so we didn't have a trial for us to be able to kind of get our emotions out. And so we wrote our victim impact statements as a way of kind of saying our piece and getting our closure. Again, our understanding that we would go in, read those, the judge would do sentencing, and we would all go to lunch, I guess. There was about 40 of you guys that showed up to support us. Thank you. And we kind of thought that's how it would go. We got there at about 9:20, 9:30, and we left at 4:30. Again, let me say, I'm not an attorney. I have never been in a civil courtroom like that, or a criminal courtroom like that. I've been in civil, not in a criminal courtroom like that. So I don't know the way it normally goes. I do know that I am a part of several victim groups of moms, several that have lost their children, and no one has ever heard of this happening. But it did happen to us, and it is something that is taking me a bit to process. As I said, he had already pled guilty. He had already understood all of that in the court date prior to February 6th. February 6th was just to decide sentencing. And his public defender decided from about 10 minutes in, I guess he was going to treat it more like a trial. And that he did. I do not know how to describe, because again, maybe it's normal. I'm hearing that it's not, but he did have a job to do for his client, and I get that part, but he went overboard on that. Hit below the belt a lot, made a lot of really snide comments, and a lot of comments you could tell he made that we knew 100% fact, even the DA knew 100% fact, were not true. It's almost like he didn't know his client at all. But he made some comments, and the only way that I know to describe it to you guys, the easiest, is to say that I went in thinking that was going to be our healing, and I got no healing. Matter of fact, I went opposite. During me reading my impact statement, he objected 3 or 4 times. So it was a long day. It was a drawn out day. It was a very unexpected day, unplanned for day. The judge overseeing even apologized for him at one point. Again, maybe that's how it goes. If I can make one plea in this video, and then I will move on and process the best I can. If you are a public defender or a criminal attorney, I know you have a job to do, and I respect that job. But when there is a victim involved, especially when there is a victim involved and your client has already admitted guilt and pled guilty, was driving on the wrong side of the interstate and drunk, and put a mom and daughter through a lot, and a 15-year-old little girl that will never be the same. Give them that moment to read their victim impact statements. Give them that moment and give them that respect. You would want that done for your child. You would want that done if that were you. I don't care what your job is or what anything is at that point. That is common human decency. And if you are a public defender and people's tax dollars pay your salary, I'm fairly certain that the people of Hamilton County do not want to pay a salary to someone that is going to attack a mom in a victim impact statement when it's taking everything she has to be up there to do it. He went as far as to make comments, because, we were headed to Universal, to make comments like, well, my client wouldn't know about getting to go to Universal and stuff. He doesn't get to do any of that, or he's never gotten to do the privilege of doing any of that. Okay. Your client is on social media very blatantly on a public page posting in Las Vegas about 8 weeks after he hit us, living up his life, drinking and doing drugs. It's on public social media. There was no reason to make us feel guilty for taking a trip to Universal or the beach, because Ada mentioned when we went to the beach she had to be carried in the sand and stuff, and he mentioned that. So yes, you need to do your job, but in that moment, if we were in trial, I would have expected it. I still would have liked to have gotten through my victim impact statement without being interrupted, especially for things that the judge overruled every time because there was no basis. But if you have already, you're at sentencing, give them that moment, please. And please, I'm sure people are going to come at me for this, and that's okay. I'm starting to grow my thick skin back. I've stayed in bed since last Tuesday pretty much. Everything that had healed kind of got ripped back open. I will process, I will pray about it, I will give it to God, and I will be okay. I can promise you that. I can promise you that Unfathomed Miracles nonprofit I will go to the ends of the earth to make it be successful and get the word out. I will still join in every way I can to spread drunk driving awareness and distracted driving awareness. You did not kill that part of me, sir. But in that day, you ripped my mama heart out again. And I just feel like it was very uncalled for. So that was why I was so upset last Tuesday. That's my spiel for today. However, coming up, all of you want to hear the victim impact statements. I know I recorded mine. It was a really bad recording. So I'm going to go do them slowly as I feel up to it. And I will be posting them separately. So I will post mine, I will post Ada's. I'm going to try to get Ada to read hers, but I don't know. And then I'm going to post a couple, I'm going to read a couple of the other ones because we had quite a few and a lot of them are really good. So thanks everybody for the support. We're not going anywhere. Just needed a few days to process and pray. Love y'all.